Hello there! Welcome to the Sacred Chronicles. Today we discuss the pitfalls of creating a fun one-shot. Let's talk about it. Welcome back. I am Sacred with the Sacred Art of Gaming. This is the Sacred Chronicles, the fourth Chronicle, I believe. And this one is about one-shots because although this is not the first one-shot, this is the first one-shot that I allowed to really get away from me. And the reason why I allowed it to get away from me is that a friend and I were coming up with this idea together for whatever reason, and man, it felt good to even be doing that because we were getting older. We didn't have a lot of time. We have less time now, but we definitely didn't have a lot of time to be doing stuff like this. So it was kind of cool to be like, you know, feeling like we were back in school. So we had this idea that was definitely inspired by things like Doom, Dante's Inferno, World's Deadliest Warrior, if you've ever seen that show, where they basically say like, oh, if you were to pit a Spartan versus a Viking, who would win? Stuff like that. Probably other things too, but those were definitely inspirations. Well, and I guess Split, which will be kind of obvious when it comes up. But there were a few things that led to these obvious mistakes. We did use the Savage World system. There was a player at the time that decided to say, you know, Savage Worlds has no progression system. And I said, I challenge the thought that you just had out of your stupid mouth, and I'm gonna show you. I understand why he was saying that at that time. He was trying to say, like, compared to D&D and Pathfinder, it's just not the same, but I was going to show them otherwise. I don't know if I succeeded. Which, oh, that's a whole another pitfall that I had. I had them like ranking up in the middle of the one shot when it was already like crunched for time. So we called this Hell With You. And the general idea of this one shot was that all of these characters from different points in time went to hell, justifiably or not. And they were being held in, you know, as one is in hell. They're trying to break out. Somehow they learn that they're able to escape hell. And they are literally working their way up to escape hell. And they're working together. And we had pre-generated characters, which took most of the time preparing for this one-shot. We honestly needed more time, but we rushed it because my friend was going to not be available anymore. I forget if he was having a kid or if he was leaving somewhere or what. But I wanted him to be able to experience it. I felt like that would have sucked for him not to be able to see it at all. He would just have all these cool ideas and nothing would have came of it, and I ended up running it as the GM. So the pre-generated characters were things like Spartan, Viking, Hashashim, which is like a Arabic assassin, a German scientist, like a mad scientist. I think he even had like a weird like arm gun too, so that was kind of like science fiction-y. There was a like Egyptian priest, which was like on the fantasy side, kind of like they were doing some necromancer stuff. So yeah, definitely not based in reality, and across different time periods too. Russian sniper. So yeah, nothing that was really too modern, with the exception of there was one character which was based off of the movie Split, kind of, where the character had, I believe, 3 forms. One was the normal form, one was like the beast form, and then the third form was like a creepy little girl in that character that I believe had an item that, you know, she would pull stuff out of, and it would just be like random. Pull random things out of like a hat or something, whatever the hell it was. I think it was a bag, it was like a purse or something. And, you know, she was supposed to be like a malicious little girl that was, I don't know, possessed her or multiple personalities or whatever. So yeah, a lot of information on those pre-generated characters. Not only did they have their edges of their feet or whatever on the character sheet, but like future ones. So they were leveling up in the middle of the session. So like an hour would go by and then they'd have a whole nother stack of things to learn in the middle of the one shot. I don't know if I'd say big mistake, but it wasn't ideal. Also, with the story, in addition to the obvious of like escaping hell, there was a whole additional thing inspired by like Dante's Inferno and Diablo, I suppose, where there were the different sins that were involved as they're working their way up. So, you know, there were demons that were inspired by lust. There were demons that were inspired by like sloth, wrath, etc. It was really cool that they had all these, you know, such a varied group. Some of them had guns, some of them had never seen guns, all different walks of life. So that was really interesting, seeing them get to be like presumably bad people, right? And they're trying to escape with, you know, abilities that they keep getting a lot. But inevitably, regardless of what planning I did on my end, I had way too much content, way too much. And with this one shot, there needed to be an ending. And at that time, I believe the one shot had to be literally one shot. It had to be one and done in that night, 2 to 5 hours max. And it was at night, so it was getting late. So that was another thing. Luckily, Savage Worlds does have some options to kind of, sounds negative when I say breeze over, but you can do like a quick encounter and you can say, yep, you did the bridge fight, let's do a fighting roll. But the problem becomes, it can feel like you just, like I said, glossed over something that could have been really cool. But yeah, my planning was not great. The PCs, obviously, you want to give them room to breathe. So although it's good to have more stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm starting to realize that less can be more because they're going to add a lot of stuff to it. So yeah, time management for a one shot, assuming you're sticking to the rule of it being like literally one night. Time management is huge. You got to give them room to breathe and actually play, spread their wings a little bit. And there was just too much and too little of time. I think that they probably still did enjoy it and still have fun. It probably could have been 3 sessions, to be perfectly honest, but we had one night before my friend wasn't available to play. And then the last thing that I did that was not great in this one shot, there was a dark twist at the end. So of course they fight their way through, utilizing things like quick encounters and dramatic tasks to get their way up to the top. And then that's when they realize there can only be one. Cool concept. Maybe it should have been foreshadowed, but it turned into PvP at the end. So this way, especially whenever you're playing with your wife, you know, divorce is on the table now. Because there can only be one. You're better off both losing at that point. Whoever wins is still losing. The person who played the Egyptian priest, of course, wasn't happy because then they're in like a small environment. And the person who played the split character is, of course, in beast mode based on the random dice rolls that led to that moment. And the character that played the split character really just ripped everybody apart, including the Egyptian priest. If the Egyptian priest got rolling and got to do some cool stuff, and of course that was the character that made the comment about Savage Worlds not being able to have good progression. Yeah, they just got like ripped in half at the end. And that character is the one that got to escape. Which, fun fact, if you saw my last video about ETU, that character actually busted out of a grave or a cemetery, right? They escaped out of a grave when they escaped hell, and they actually became a character in that ETU campaign. But that is what wasn't my first one shot. Those are some one-shot mistakes that I had made. Hopefully you learned from them. Have you made any one-shot mistakes? Feel free to put those in the comments down below. Let me know you have any other thoughts, anything else regarding one-shots, things that help you prep for one-shots. I definitely have a much different outlook on one-shots now than I did at that time. If you're enjoying this content, want to see more, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. This has been Sacred with the Sacred Art of Gaming. This is the 4th Sacred Chronicles. Until next time, Sacred out.